everyone, Gray Walker here on behalf of DreamVoid.com and Blender Helix Alpha. If you haven't checked out DreamVoid.com, I really urge you to go check it out at DreamVoid.com. Today I'm coming up with a really cool Photoshop tutorial. It's kind of for fun. Instead of more of a production type tutorial, it's a little bit of a fun tutorial. Today we're going to be recreating the YouTube layout, YouTube logo actually. And we're going to be doing this the right way. I mean, it's going to look almost identical to the YouTube logo. A lot of tweaking, as usual. You can expect a lot of tweaking in my tutorials. So yeah, so let's start out. I have a 1280 by 720 document here, and let me make sure my recording is going okay. Looks like it's fine. I've been having some recording issues lately, but that's just fine. All right, so let's make a new layer and name this U. And I'm going to be using the official YouTube font, or at least the one they used on their logo. It's called Alternate Gothic 2. So I have that loaded up here. Let's make the word U and color this a dark gray. About that dark. Almost black, actually. Okay. Make this about that size. I have about 356 point font. Let's give this the layer style that we want, which is gradient overlay, and that's almost perfect. The default is almost perfect. Let's scale it down a little bit and then drag it up, and we want to take down the opacity to about 12%. Perfect. Let's give it another layer style, drop shadow. Let's turn the distance all the way down, size up a bit, and the opacity down quite a bit. Make sure that size is correct. Get about 15 size. Okay. Make sure the opacity is about 50. Looking good. Alright, so let's make our next word, which is tube. And I did not spell that right, but that's okay. Let's make a new text object. And obviously type tube. Same point as your U word, so same size. And let's drag it out here a little bit, maybe reposition it downwards a little bit, and then we're actually going to color this an off red. So instead of bright neon red, we're gonna color a little off red, so it's a little bit darker. And then we're going to let's take a look at our reference here, and oh, I'm sorry, the actual text is white. Forgot about that. Okay, so, and then let's give it an outer glow of red, and red won't show up totally well with the screen blend mode, so let's change it to normal. Let's make the opacity 100% and turn the spread all the way up, and then we'll make the size about 7. Alright, that looks fine to me. Give this a gradient over, oh, we don't want that on that. Alright, that looks fine. Okay, so getting closer, getting closer. Let's start, actually we need to give this another layer style. A drop shadow, basically the same as the, as this one right here. Make the opacity about 50. Distance is 0, and press OK. Alright, now we get to start on the hardest part, which is the background for your YouTube thing. So we want to use, at first I was thinking about using the select tools and then just kind of smoothing it out and everything, but I noticed they had a rounded rectangle tool in Photoshop. I had no idea about this. So we want to get the settings just right on here. So let's make sure that we're creating a fill pixel instead of a shape layer or path. And I think I have all my settings correct already, which is about 120 pixel radius size, so leave it like that. And you want to start with a red, so about like that. Make sure this is under our tube so we can see what it looks like under here. Okie dokie, that's looking pretty fine. Alright, and then let's give this a layer style outer glow. and change this to straight red, or actually an off red, darker red. Let's change the screen to normal, and then the spread all the way up, opacity all the way up, and let's change the size to about 7. Alright, you can hit OK now, and then we're going to go to our tube and go to outer glow, and let's actually make this red a darker red. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Make it about that. And then here comes the touchiest part of the entire tutorial, and we're doing really good so far. So if you have something that looks like this, you're doing just fine. Let's add another layer style before we start that. Gradient overlay, and then make sure my recording is doing okay. Alright, good. Let's change this to a radial, and then we're going to change the black, or whoops, let's click this, the opacity modifier here on the gradient tool, and let's change that to 0. So we have straight white to alpha, and let's change that from normal to overlay, and I think I'm doing that right. Let's hit reverse on that, and that'll give us this sheen that we need. It'll be pretty light. I'm not totally sure why it's so light. Let's go to scale that opacity down a bit, and that looks like what we want. So let's actually go to this color and change it white, because that'll definitely matter. Yeah. So whenever you have a straight alpha and a gradient, the best color to do is white, because if you have a white and then you have a 0 white, it's going to really work. But if you have a black, you can see that it does give still black, even if it's a 0 opacity. So you don't want that. You do want to keep both of yours colored on your gradients white, but one of them has a 0 opacity. So scale that opacity down on here, just to where it looks good enough for that sheen on the YouTube logo here. You can see that little sheen that we just did right there. Alright, it's looking good. I do not like the drop shadow on the tube word so far, so let's change the size on that down, maybe give it some spread, which basically means enhancing the source for that. And let's give it some distance, and then we're going to change the opacity down a bit. So that looks a little bit better. I'm going to also change the outer glow size to about 4. So that looks a little bit better again. Alright, here's the touchiest part of the entire tutorial. Select your background, and then hit Control-T, and then right-click, warp. And as you can see here, it's not a straight rectangle. It has little bitty warps here and here and here and here and here. So we're going to go ahead and do that now by clicking this top section and dragging it up. And the reason this is so touchy is because you want all your lines to be just perfect, so that it doesn't look sloppy at all. So keep that way, and then drag this out. It's very touchy. Very easy to mess up. And you don't want that. So let's apply that and see if that's good. It looks good, but let's go ahead and keep working on it. Alright, this is all good, and I'm not going to get this perfect. If you guys want this perfect, you guys are welcome to do it on your Photoshop program. Alright, so let's see what else needs to be done. So as you can kind of tell on the actually there's something I forgot, and that is the U on this. And hopefully you watch all my tutorial, because this kind of thing does arise, or I have something to change. Go to your U word, your U layer, and give it a bevel and emboss. And I know you guys are like, what? Bevel and emboss? But yes, give it a bevel and emboss, and make it smooth, and make the size about to there, and then the depth way down. That's going to give it this indistinctable, I don't know how to explain it, this smooth look that you'll see in so many different logos. But we are just about done with that. You can see there's almost no difference between when I switch here and here, except that this is washed out. There's a small amount of a white layer here that you can tell. So we're going to go ahead and make that. Like I said, we're going to do this the right way, make it almost identical. And basically you just want to fill this layer with white, and then let's drag it to where it gives it that washed out look. And what you can actually do is erase the left part by selecting it and then going to the eraser and changing the eraser opacity down to about 50, and then erase most of that. That will leave you with something that looks very similar to the YouTube logo. So one thing that we are missing again is the background drop shadow, so let's give it that. Distance 0, let's give it some spread, and then change the opacity down. Alright, very good. Very good job. Let's convert our background to a smart object, and then give it another gradient overlay layer style, and drag that down. Let's actually change this from normal to multiply. That way it'll only darken your background, and that way we can just have a little bit darker here. And you're done. I mean, there's not a whole lot left that you can do. The tutorial is basically concluded at this point. Again, what you can do is, and I did this with my last tutorial, what you can do is flatten the image and then give it some noise. That always adds to the image itself. Give it about 2 noise on this one. And you're done. So let's switch back and forth here, and very similar. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I want to urge you again to go to dreamvoid.com, as well as subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Yeah, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you learned something. So if you did, great job. Thanks.